Well, good evening, everyone, and happy Monday. We're delighted to have you join us tonight for a very special call. We're focusing on tower gardens tonight and all things living and growing. But before we launch into that, our mission with the Juice Plus family and community is about inspiring healthy living. And we've done that beautifully for I don't know how many years, 27, 28 years with Juice Plus. And then in the last 10 years, we launched into tower gardens, and tower gardens have been a key ingredient into us really making a change in how people eat and view whole food and live food. So, our mission of inspiring healthy living has never been more vibrant and more vital than it is right now, especially as we want to armor and protect our immune system. So our team, the Mission Possible, is very committed to inspiring healthy living around the world. So I want to introduce Karen Drake to come in, executive coach Karen Drake, also QSSC within our community, to share and lead us tonight. So welcome, Karen.
Sharon, thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm Karen Drake, dialing in from St. Louis, Missouri. And as Sharon mentioned, I am an executive coach. I'm a wellness and an executive coach, and delighted to serve as your host tonight, along with some other folks, so we can talk tower. Let us grow together. And what I would like to do just real quickly is to share my screen. Okie dokie. Let's see if it'll let me do this. Okay. A second. Oh, share with groups. Okay, forget that. Okay. All right, I'll do it another way. All right. Hopefully everyone can see these here. So I just want to share just a couple of things with you. So Sharon started off talking about the importance of eating real food, whole food nutrition. So you may have heard that it's recommended that we eat 9 to 13 servings of fresh fruit and veg every day, and even more with exercise, or if you're an elite athlete or maybe have some health challenges. If I asked you how many servings you ate today, not sure how many you might say. Sharon, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we're going to talk about one way to get those servings in every day. Certainly there's another way through our plant powders, but tonight we're going to be talking about tower garden. So as I mentioned, I am a wellness and an executive coach. I've had my own business for almost over 25 years. And I enjoyed gardening, but when I made the decision to downsize from a house to an apartment, one of the concerns I had was about having fresh food. So if you can see from to the far right of this slide, yes, that is me holding up one basil plant. This was at my house on my patio in my backyard. And I also had a second tower outside. So what I would do when stuff just kind of got too big, I would just plant it in the ground. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to downsize as an empty nester to an apartment. Well, downsizing to an apartment, no problem. That's me in the middle on my balcony in my apartment, happily picking some of my produce for a meal. Another reason why this is no problem is on the far right, you will see I've got a tower garden inside. It is right outside of the office that I am in, which is my second bedroom, in between that and my guest bathroom. So you don't need a whole heck of a lot of room for a garden in an apartment or in a lot of other spaces. So what is a tower garden? Oh my gosh. This is an aeroponic growing system, waters and feeds itself, saves 90% of the water. The plants grow in air because there's a pump at the base, and the liquid nutrients in the water just trickles down on your plants. What's wonderful is you can move it around if you get the dolly. The plants grow faster, it's cleaner, the food tastes better, it pays for itself. And I don't know how many months, maybe about, 6 months or so it pays for itself. I think I found it paid for itself sooner. It's a smaller footprint. We don't have unlimited spaces of land in our country. And we certainly don't need to look at the news too often to see that we're really going through a major drought. So space and water and the concern for sustainability is really prevalent. Towers are also great because you can do indoor as well as outdoor growing. So check out these places that these folks are enjoying their tower garden. On the far left, somebody's got a tower on maybe their front porch or back porch. The next, you'll see some littles that are excited about it. And a great thing about towers is that children that plant their own food tend to want to eat it. Look in the middle. Oh my gosh, you can draw, strawberries will grow on a tower garden? Yes. And there's no dirt in there. You can grow anything in a tower that grows above ground. That's not a shrub, a root vegetable, or a tree. And then check out this next one with the RV. People take their tower gardens on vacation or when they're traveling in their RV. They're that portable. And there are two models of towers. We've got a tower garden outdoor, or the one you see outside is called a flex. About 30 inches of space are needed. The one that is white, it's called a tower garden home. And although you can grow it outside, a lot of people love it because it only takes up about 24 inches of space, kind of like an end table. We have towers to fit all needs. On the left of this slide, you'll see a team that has visited a tower farm. This is where someone has the commercial height towers to grow seedlings to sell to tower gardeners like myself, as well as some of you all on the call. To the right are seedlings. How cool is it that you can either plant seeds or buy seedlings where they've already sprouted, and they're in this medium called rock wool. And really that's just there to hold your plant in place. And so also you can take a plant that you might have had in dirt, but really wash out those roots because there's no dirt in this system. And I'll just tell you, the seedlings on the right, I am like a little kid. I've been growing year round for almost 8 years. When these seedlings show up at the door, I'm not kidding. It's like Christmas. I get excited every single time and just thrilled to be able to plant those. But just a couple more ways I want to share with you about how tower gardens are so valuable. They're educational and STEAM tools, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. On the left, one of our partners is helping this school nurse put together a tower. It's like Legos. It is not hard to do when you got 2 people doing this. You can do this within a half hour. On the right is an elementary school principal. We set up 4 towers at his elementary school that day. He only stopped clicking with his phone, taking the pictures, when the morning announcements came across on his cell phone. And let me tell you, Principal West was beaming. I said, Principal West, are those the morning announcements? Because one of the students was reading them. He says, yes. And through these halls come some of the most intelligent, impactful leaders of tomorrow. Just talking about 5th graders. So towers are great for schools. Also, you can get student-centered lesson plans with towers, and it helps with socialization skills. Here is a school, 6th to 7th graders. They were the garden club. Here was a child that was not engaging. You know, when you can tell there's kind of a kid that's kind of on the outside and they want to engage, but they don't know how. So some of the other students were making some selections of the seeds. So I went up to the child and asked, hey, look, these other kids are selecting what seeds you're going to plant. Do you think you might be willing to take a look at this manual and just maybe share some directions out loud so they know what they're doing? I got a resounding yes. And this student also said, I'll be happy to add the minerals as well. And they're very easy to go in and put in there for sure. So towers are awesome for students as well as adults. Even and they don't have to go in the science room, although on the far right, you do see the science teacher who we already brought examples or samples of some lesson plans. She'd already 3-hole punched them, put them in a binder. She was ready to rock and roll. And lastly, a tower garden in every club. The Juice Plus Company is very generous. And in addition to inspiring healthy living around the world, we're also about inspiring healthy giving. So the Juice Plus Company is donating one tower garden to every Boys and Girls Club around in the United States, which I believe is about 5,000. So we've got some other tower gardeners with us tonight. I would love to find out if we've got a researcher on the line who is willing to unmute and join us and introduce herself. Her name begins with the same letter as mine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kelly Harris. So let's see here. I just was going to share a couple minutes about me, my background, and my kind of tower garden story, I guess. So my clinical background, I'm actually a speech language pathologist. I've done that for over 20 years now. I did that in subacute rehab settings and then in schools and then in private practice. And then just based on a lot of what I kind of saw in my work, I ended up pivoting to a research career. And so I study chronic disease and education, particularly for youth. I focus on, health equity and implementation science, which is like the implementation. I'm telling this detail for a reason. It'll come around to the garden, but it's the implementation of evidence-based interventions to improve health and outcomes for individuals. And so I focus on like adapting these interventions so they really fit communities and individuals that we want to help. And so I'm a new tower garden owner. And I had this desire to kind of garden both for like flowers, trees, shrubs, things like that, and then also to grow food, but I struggled with the implementation. It's a little too complicated for me. In that I just like the maintenance and like I'll do well for a while and then it kind of falls off. So anyway, I needed some adaptation. So I figured out, how to grow some of the things I wanted in my yard, but no food, no healthy foods, nothing like that. I figured out like really low maintenance, easy flowers, trees, shrubs, things like that. But it's hard to kind of make that switch when you're trying to build a garden in your yard. At least it was for me. So when I saw Susan's tower and learned a little bit about the tower garden, I really was intrigued and I kind of wanted one. It was the adaptation. I felt like that was perfect for me and my lifestyle and kind of what I wanted to do. So I went home, did my own research, what is aeroponics? Why does this actually work? This seems really cool. And then I was kind of sold. So that's really my story. I got a tower. I'm a very new tower gardener and I did bring some pictures to share. So I'm going to try to share my screen. I just have like 3 quick slides. Let's see. I think that's it. Am I sharing now?
Yeah. There you go, Kelly.
Yes. Okay. So I started my seeds and planted my tower on August 8th is when I actually transferred them all to the tower. So that's this first picture. And I took another picture 8 days later. And so you can see like some growth, some good growth, I think. And then this last picture on the right was just 3 days after that on the 19th. And so, my slides aren't moving. I took another picture today. And so this is the other reason that I thought that tower gardening would be perfect for my family. I have 2 kids. This is my 9-year-old Savannah today out with our tower, and I have a 13-year-old, but I think it's a great way to really engage her in this growing process, to engage both of my kids and to get them excited about eating what we're able to pull off of it. So she helped me plan the tower. We've got some holes that we are going to come back and fill with some different things here, but both of these pictures are from today, just 15 days later, which I actually thought was pretty cool, looking at just this kind of, I think this is massive growth in 2 weeks time, but anyway, so it's exciting. It's exciting for them. It's exciting for me. We walk past it every day. It's on our deck, check on it. And that's it. That's my story. I think, did I cover everything?
I think you did great. Kelly, thank you for that. That is really inspiring. And we're talking about back to school for sure, wanting to make sure that we go on and flood the bodies of our little people with plenty of fresh produce. And I think we've got our last person to share tonight. I think we also need to have an engineer in the mix. Somebody that kind of looks at the planet in a whole nother way than the rest of us. Do I see Susan in the house?
You have Susan Armstrong. I'm talking to everyone from St. Louis, Missouri. Excited to be here. And I'd like to share a little bit about pictures of my towers and my stories. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So similar to Kelly, I saw Karen's tower, and I'm a environmental scientist, undergrad. I'm a master's in civil engineer, and my engineering specialty is HSE. That stands for Health, Safety, and Environment. I've been practicing and working in HSE, Health, Safety, and Environmental Engineering for more than 25 years. And so I started very micro when I wanted to go to the tower. I needed to eat fresh food, as my physician told me, my naturopath told me, eat fresh food. So my assignment, my last work assignment conveniently ended March 2020. That's exactly when I became a tower gardener. So just in time for the pandemic, I became a tower gardener. So it was lovely, similar to Kelly, similar to Karen, Dr. Kelly and Karen. It was wonderful to have this beautiful tower in my home. But as I was watching it, and again, the environmental engineer, the civil engineer, the solution person kicked in, I realized that as I was exhaling carbon dioxide, the plants in my tower were capturing the same carbon dioxide, using it for food. And it was through photosynthesis, releasing oxygen into my environment, into my home. So that's, again, I started very micro. Me getting clearer skin, more energy, cleaner colon, to, okay, now I've got lungs in my house. I can exhale carbon dioxide and it can release oxygen. What a great symbiotic relationship. So again, getting more, zooming out. I also realized, again, because I am a civil engineer, and I've calculated the releases of tons of nitrous oxide, sulfur oxides, and carbons into the atmosphere from the facilities that I work at. So every year we calculate and report the greenhouse gases. So for me, again, small, my plants are capturing carbon, the very component of greenhouse gas. And I'm not driving to the store. I'm not driving to the store to buy my perishable vegetables and fruits. So once again, rule number one in engineering, if you're trying to solve a problem, eliminate the problem. So even though EVs are coming in, electric vehicles, eliminating a trip that's burning fossil fuel, that's good for climate change. That's good for global warming. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a visual about global warming to make it just so simple. You know, when you put a pot on the stove of water, right? You turn it up because you want to boil the water. You put a lid on the pot, that's global warming. Our greenhouse gases are bouncing the heat back to the earth. So the pot on the stove boiling, a lid on the pot, that's global warming. So we want to take off the lid, which was removing those greenhouse gases, carbons, and letting the heat bounce back out into the atmosphere. 101, keep it simple. So something else I liked about my tower garden is I can engage my grandchildren in the conversation because they're also very aware and so very smart. That's not just my opinion, that's other people's opinions. They're very smart. And to help them have the entire conversation about being a good global citizen and making the right choices and being intentional about their food. And plus they love it. That's my granddaughter on the right, and she's harvesting the day's cucumbers and greens. And something else I've realized by being a part of the tower garden community is there's other uses for the tower. Like I've picked sage. It's going to be one of my essential crops. I was reading a Native American author, and he says sage keeps the mind right. And so not just food, but medicinal herbs, simple to grow, thrive beautifully. Calendula is another one that you can dry, ground into a tea, thrives in the tower. So again, I just wanted to say thank you to Karen for showing me her tower for the very first time, and to Darlene for listening to that small voice that says, eat live food if you can grow it in the tower. And then watching my grandchildren become a part of this food, live food community where they're selecting it. And that's my grandson, handsome as he is, with a mouthful of spinach that he picked himself off the tower. Karen, thank you so much. I hope I spoke to everything.
Oh, you were awesome. Susan and Kelly, thank you. And as we get ready to wrap up our time with you this evening, what we want to encourage you to think about is, who do you know that really could benefit from more fresh food? What food deserts are you aware of? And a food desert is in a city, it's anytime you've got to drive farther actually than a mile or 2 miles to get fresh food. So think about where else other people can be eating. And also, we want to end with that. This is great to share with people. You can certainly become a Tower Garden customer, a preferred customer, or maybe you want to join us in our mission to inspire healthy living. But talk with the person that invited you tonight. They obviously care enough about you to include you. So thank you. Please come grow with us and join us. Thanks, Sharon.